Introducing the next set of speakers, we have with us the co-founders of Ezha Heritage. Ezha Heritage is an award-winning architectural design and heritage conservation consultancy in Kerala, and it is composed of a three-women team of conservation architects and friends from SPA Delhi, namely architect Ritu Thomas, architect Swathi, and architect Savita. The name Ezha signifies an interwoven thread between heritage, nature, and community, seamlessly integrating these facets into heritage conservation, interpretation, and adaptive reuse. Notable works include the UNESCO Asia-Pacific Award-winning restoration of Karnikaramandapam at Calicut and collaborations with the Archaeological Survey of India, leading to acclaimed projects like the gap analysis of the Hampi World Heritage Site for the UNESCO G20 Summit. The team of the Architect's Diary is glad to have such a dynamic force of women on this historic day with us. Without further ado, let us begin with an insightful presentation by Ezha Heritage.
So I will introduce my team to you all. We are Ira. It's called Ira. It's an architecture design and heritage consultancy firm. And we are a team of 3 architects, Savita, Swathi, and I am Ritu Thomas. So we are very happy to accept this invitation from Architect's Diary. Thank you so much, Simran, and the team. And also, this is a very special occasion because it's World Heritage Day. And we are another special thing is that we are presenting in along with our mentor from SP Delhi, that is architect Sankita Bais, who has many more years of experience than us. So this makes the occasion all the more special. I'm introducing to you the project, the restoration of Karnikaramandapam. This is Karnikaramandapam is part of the Kundamangalam Bhagavati temple, located in Calicut in Kerala. And this is nestled actually within a very quaint village of Karuvanur, which is in Calicut. And this temple is very significant. So the significance lies not only in its religious importance, but also the deity goddess or the resident goddess Bhadrakali is said to fiercely protect its the sacred landscape, the surrounding hills, the streams, and inhabitants. And we have recordical evidence of these legends which are being told. So there is an inscription. Which talks about Amma Nopu challenge, or the streams which are protected by the mother or the deity goddess. So the temple actually has a rectilinear sort of a layout, which has a chuttambalam on the sides. That is, it has a surrounding structure, and there are 2 structures in the middle. There is a Sri Kovil. We call this Sri Kovil is the Sanctum Sanctorum, where the deity is placed. And in front of the Sri Kovil is the Karnikaramandapam or the Namaskaramandapam. So the Namaskaramandapam means the worship hall, or where the rituals and the prayers happen. So unlike other temples in South India, the Sri Kovil of this temple, or the deity of this temple, actually faces west instead of east. So that makes this a different sort or unique sort of a temple. And the mandapam, the Karnikaramandapam, was the project that we were given for restoration. And you can see that right in the center, the square-shaped mandapam. So an NGO actually, there is an NGO called ARPO who had approached us with this project in early January 2023. So they had called us for this restoration. And here you can see the mandapam actually covered in tarpaulin in the center of the complex, temple complex. And it's a very small in scale and very humble sort of mandapam. But when we didn't, so as all conservation architects, when we did an initial inspection and when we went for the site visit, this is what we encountered. We encountered teak wood. So style of architecture, and it has a laterite stone plinth, and the superstructure is made of timber. And the mud, there is a mud flooring also on the base, or we call this, the plinth is called the adisthanam. So it's a mud flooring. And this mud flooring is used for rituals, prayers, and other ritualistic performances. And here, when we encountered this, we also saw that we also did a very detailed documentation of the entire the mandapam. Center and the rest pillars on the edges. And the name Karnikaram comes from this 16. So Karnikaram in local terms means 16. So that is why the name, the significance of the name comes. It is also said to be the representing the 16 syllables of a mantra and the 16 petaled lotus. And all of this signifies the name Karnikaram. So after this is the plan actually of the mandapam. And beyond that, we have also detailed out the section and the reflected ceiling plan. So so that finial was actually missing. The finial is the top portion, or the crown of the mandapam, we can say. And this finial and the structure below it is called the kudam. These are very essential components of the timber structure, which holds everything together. So these were missing and deteriorated. And yes, so beyond that, when we actually encountered it at the very beginning, we saw that this was completely in a very deteriorated stage. So there was neglect. This mandapam has not been used for a long time. So there was extreme termite infestation and water seepage could be found throughout. This was the finial actually. The image on the top, on the right hand side, is the finial we discovered on site later, the terracotta finial. And we also took photographs or detailed photo documentation of the condition of the structure. So not only was there termite infestation and water seepage, you can see that the entire column was actually hollowed out from the bottom to the top by termites. There was also at the fire hazards, because many of these rituals used oil in the mandapam. So there was fire hazards previously. And you could also see cracks and fungal rot. So that was eminent. When we did a condition assessment of the building, we saw that the top portion or the finial area, because it was grass, actually has caused extreme deterioration, leading to around more than 80% of the timber was completely deteriorated to an extent where it could not. So on the verge of collapse. And you can also see here that many temporary like support measures such as scaffolding, bamboo scaffoldings, steel tie rods were in place to stabilize the whole structure. Because this structure is very important for the temple festival. So it was completely held in place temporarily, and this structure would not have survived another monsoon, and it would have collapsed within the next 1 year. And see here, you can see the other deterioration. This is a reflected ceiling plan showing all the detailed documentation of the condition. So the main challenge that we were faced with was that we were told to complete the entire project, including the documentation, including the proposal and the implementation, within a short time span of 2.5 months, because the annual temple festival was scheduled on March. So we began this project in January, mid-January. So we had hardly 2.5 months to complete this project. And that was the challenge. We had to do a very detailed planning to schedule the works simultaneously, and how the conservation works has to happen. And we know the conservation is not a very, it's not a quick process. So, so meticulous planning had to be done. Also, we had a financial constraint because we had an external sponsor for this who funded 1/3 of the project, but 2/3 of the funds were from the crowd or from the community. So it was crowd funded. So there was a very tight budget as well. And we could not be very extravagant in our design as well. So those are the two major challenges that we had faced. So I'll pass on to Savita to explain our design philosophy, which is adopted by Ira.
Thank you, Ritu. So the approach used for the restoration of Karnikaramandapam is actually rooted in ancient Indian treatises of Vastu Shastra and Tachu Shastra with the help of traditional carpenters and acharyas. Now, Vastu Shastra, in simple terms, is about creating spaces in alignment with natural forces and energies, whereas Tachu Shastra is about using locally available materials and designing in a way that it does not harm the environment. So we've used these concepts. And the conservation philosophy that we have applied here is Jirnodharana and Punaruddharana. So Jirnodharana means deliverance from decay, and Punaruddharana means regeneration or restoration. So our conservation philosophy combines both, which is preserving existing stone and laterite fabric to prevent further decay, while restoring or replacing the deteriorated timber with the original materials. Now we can look at the isometric view. So when we're documenting traditional construction methods, it's very crucial to understand their purpose and how they work. Their understanding basically reveals how they strengthen the structure and also enables us to learn from the tradition, which can be an inspiration for modern creations. Here, the image depicts traditional structural elements with their respective names. As we can see, the Upapidam, which is the base plinth, Adisthanam, the plinth, Homa, the base, Stambam pillar, Varotara beam, Uttaram main wall plate, as you can see. Then we have the Pudika, which is a capital. We have the rafters, which is Karikol, and Tariga Kudam. We also have the Kudam, which holds the Karikols, the rafters together, which we can see in the further presentation. Now we can see the dismantling work. The images show how the workers are meticulously removing the deteriorated timber roof structure, termite infested structural pillars, and cement plastering from both the mandapam and the upapedam. So it has to be done very carefully because the laterite was chipping off. The next image, we can see the master achari at work. Can we go to the next image? So this image shows the timber roof centerpiece, which I was talking about, which hold these rafters together, which is the kudam. Now, it was very important to document how the previous kudam was. And the particular feature of that is whatever the previous achari would have done, will not be done by the achari in the present. So you can see the design difference. The newer one is of like a lotus bud, and the previous one is more blooming. So it depends on the master achari. So they have the power to take the decision. Now we can see the roof carpentry and the tile fixing works here. So the wood we have incorporated here is Venga wood into the construction with stone bases added to the pillars to prevent termite infestation from the mud flow base. Now, initially, earlier it was all teak wood and it was fully deteriorated. There was fire hazard and everything. Now we had to take a call on what wood we had to replace. So Venga is one of the wood which is allowed to be used in temple constructions, which also has medicinal properties and which is cost effective as well. We can see in this image, now we have replaced the bases with stone so that there is no direct infestation of termite from the mud flow base. The next is the craftsmen using traditional coal measurements to carve timber shafts and capitals with a lot of precision. Now, the coal measurement is a traditional unit of measurement which is based on the forearm's length. Now, one coal is equal to 70 to 74 centimeters. And it also depends, it varies with different regions, depends on the region. Now, the next image shows stone work pointing and dressing. Now, this image shows on-site pointing of laterite stone and dressing of granite stone. So the dressing of granite stone is called palamana in Malayalam. So that is what is being doing here. It was done manually, and which is also an intense process. And considering the timeline, the workers we're really thankful to the workers because they've done it day and night. Next, we can go to the assembling work. Next is the assembling work. So this image depicts granite stones being laid on the floor and platform, laterite stones being cleaned, mortar joints being pointed, and timber pillars and beams being assembled on sites. So we can see the whole process of how the assembling happens. So each and every stage of the conservation process has a, let's say, a puja. One such process is called anujna, which marks the beginning of the conservation process. Now, this also was done using there's a pujari, the main tantri who comes and picks a date for this. Within these 2.5 months, they had to pick a very prosperous and auspicious date. So this process of puja, starting any conservation project in temple, is called anujna. Then is the decision-making procedure, which is the Ashtamangalya Prashna. So decision-making procedure is done before every stage of conservation. So all the stages and all the pujas were documented. So then we have the Uttaram Kutal ceremony. Now this picture shows a special puja ceremony to commemorate the installation of the roof of the mandapam. So this event actually emphasizes how important the structural elements are in architecture. So connecting both the physical and symbolic aspects of the structure. The next slide, please. So here this was a very interesting process for the given timeline as well. So instead of using a chemical polish, we have approached a Vaidyan or a traditional Ayurvedic practitioner. So the Ayurvedic oil applied on timber is made by this practitioner using 32 special medicinal herbs. So this is believed to prolong its life for over 1,000 years. He does this by taking vratam or fasting, which is quite an intense process. He does not go out of his house and he prays, and this is a very intense process and does it very religiously. So this oil, after we applied this on the wood, we could feel that it has a positive energy. It gives a positive energy to the visitors and has a pleasant aroma, making the workers happily applied without masks. So the workers are actually very excited and happy to apply these as well because it does not have any pungent smell. So the medicine oil is made up of 5 base oils, and it includes one of which is linseed oil, and which also includes 250 ml of decoction along with soaked and powdered herbs. So when it is applied on wood, the longer it soaks, the longer is good for the wood. So it was applied using a kiri instead of a brush. Now kiri it's something is a muslin, it's covered in muslin. So these herbs are covered, this oil is covered in muslin cloth and it's pressed on the wood. So it gives more absorption to the wood. So the more it absorbs, the more it's good for the wood. And apparently this oil has no expiry date and can be stored very easily. Moving to Swathi. What is
Thank you, Savita. So we wanted to use the expertise of the local artisans and succeeded in identifying traditional line masons native to Kozhikode region. These images shows the traditional line making process on site. So the traditional line mix in this region comprises of quicklime, which is shell lime, sand, along with additives such as water-soaked narandavadi root and niltari bark. These are medicinal herbs. Scientific name is Alcyodaphne semicarpifolia, locally known as kulirmavu. Coming to the substructure of the mandapam, the base with layers of old cement plaster were removed and then plastered with lime and red oxide. The major intervention was the replacement of the timber pillar bases. The deteriorated wooden bases were replaced with original stone bases using evidences found on site. This modification was undertaken to safeguard the wooden pillars from rising dampness and termite infestation. So the exposed laterite stone of the plinth or the adisthanam is cleaned and coated with natural stone polish traditionally made using 3 ingredients: sesame oil, beeswax, and camphor. This process is carried out by traditional stone shilpis who begin the preparation of polish with a puja. So in addition to repair, restoration and reconstruction efforts, the proposal also incorporated reversible illumination to subtly highlight the exquisite carpentry work. Minimal illumination is proposed with diffused warm light, which reflects the same auspicious energy as the temple lamps and maintains the spiritual aura of the space. The final conservation works included termite proofing and housekeeping. After consolidation of the mud floor, termite proofing was applied by spraying an herbal anti-termite solution made of plant extract. Villages of all age group participated in the conservation works. The left side image depicts women devotees cleaning the base of the mandapam. So finally, the Jirnodharana process concluded with the placement of Kaiga Kudam or the female filled with Navaratnas, paddy grains, gold and copper coins. So here are some of the before-after pictures of the mandapam. This is a view of the mandapam before-after restoration. View of the mandapam within the temple complex. View of the timber ceiling. And before-after views of the mandapam's interior. So the temple celebrates a 7-day-long festival that takes place in the Malayalam month of May. The custom performed inside the Karnikaramandapam is the Kalamelithu, which involves creating a large picture of the goddess Bhadrakali on the mud floor using natural powders. At night, under the dimly lit temple lamp, Kalamarkil or removal of the natural powders or the rangoli, part is performed in the mandapam. Towards the end of the performance, the performer dances and erases the color or the rangoli using their feet. So the flooring is done with compacted mud and paved with cow dung as per tradition. So this kind of natural materials allows the performer of Kalamirthu to execute his performance with ease. The decision to retain the mud flooring is made in consultation with the performer. These images showcases the mandapam during the Kalamarkil ritual. So another ritualistic performance held at the mandapam is the kolam vittu or Indira kolam, which reenacts the legendary slaying of the Asura king Dariga by Bhadrakali. This image captures the performers getting ready with the mandapam for the performance. So apart from the rituals within the mandapam, there are many rituals connected to the temple that occurs in the temple complex involving various communities such as Thirayatam, Chendamelam, Kudirakolam, etc. So every decision is made in consultation with stakeholders, including the temple committee, the facilitator, the investor, and the skilled craftsmen. Throughout the restoration process, the local community played a crucial and active role in each stage of the process, showcasing their deep-rooted connection and commitment to preserving their cultural heritage. The 2/3 of the funding came through crowdfunding by the communities and the devotees. So the local community comprising of the temple committee, the youth group found inspiration in the temple restoration initiative and become motivated to engage in small-scale activism to prevent illegal construction activities on the temple land. So this instance exemplifies how a modest project can have a significant positive impact on the community. So this image showcases the woman involved in the conservation process. Apart from us, the deity, which is the Bhagavati, the major stakeholder of the temple committee was led by women. So this project has won many awards and national and international media coverage also. The awards includes the 2023 UNESCO Asia-Pacific Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation, Domus International Award, IAA Kerala State Award 2023, Vanida Architecture Awards as well. So I would like to read a note from UNESCO about the project. The restored sanctuary establishes an admirable grassroots model for transmitting the cultural legacy of Karnikaramandapam and other living religious sites across India and beyond. So beyond conservation, what makes the project truly incredible is the words from one of the eminent jurors for UNESCO Asia-Pacific Award. The writer and the historian Narayani Gupta's words goes like this. The Malayali in me delights in the thought of what your award means. Small in scale, boundless in enthusiasm, exacting in detailed perfection, carrying the community with you. These are the qualities which make pre-modern architecture all over the world, not just human, but with a streak of the divine. Ira to me is the embodiment of hope for the future. You will go far. So the primary aim was achieved to evoke a sense of pride within the community for the heritage by restoring the spirit of the place, thus making it a community-led conservation project. Thank you. With that, I'm winding the presentation, and there is a small video to showcase the works which happened.
We are a team of conservation architects, and our team name is Ira. When we first time saw this mandapa, it was highly in a dilapidated state, or like the structure was in a condition where like it couldn't have like survived one more monsoon. The whole plinth was settled. All the wooden members and wooden columns with a wooden base were all deteriorated with termite infestation. From the base, the column had hollowed up till the top. Not only this, it has a missing Kudam or a finial at the top. There were like lot of past retrofitting work were done with steel rods. So when you remove one steel member itself, the structure would have fallen.
So the first step was to actually remove the incompatible materials and to reveal the structure and to expose out the masonry.
Our whole idea or the conservation philosophy is to use local techniques and methods to revive this structure. We want all the local artisans at this place to come together and work with us and revive this structure.
Wood we have used is Venga. It has medicinal properties, but it also needs some protection. We went to a Vaidyan who prepares this solution, an organic solution to preserve the wood. Around 32 herbs, medicinal herbs that are used in this entire process, and 5 oils as base, one of which is linseed oil. So this is done like how we prepare kashayam, like Ayurvedic medicines. So the entire process was very intense.
അപ്പോൾ മരത്തിന് വേണ്ടി അടിക്കുന്ന ഈ മരുന്ന് അച്ചച്ചൻ മുതൽക്കേ ഉണ്ടാക്കി വരുന്നുണ്ട്. ക്ഷേത്രങ്ങൾക്ക് ഭജനകോവിൽ, പിന്നെ കോവിലകത്തിന് ഓരോ മരത്തിനും ഓരോ തരത്തിലുള്ള വ്യത്യാസം വരും. ഇതിലിപ്പം കടുകെണ്ണ, ആവണക്കെണ്ണ, വേപ്പെണ്ണ, വെട്ടിയെണ്ണ, നല്ലെണ്ണ, ഈ 5 എണ്ണകൾ ഇതിൽ പെടുന്നുണ്ട്. വ്യത്യസ്ത അളവിലാണ് പെടുന്നത്. അതിനാണ് 1000ഓളം വർഷങ്ങൾ നിലനിൽക്കും ഈ മരത്തിനെന്നാണ് പറയുക ഇത് അടിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ.
When we look at modern structures, majorly wooden polish is used. So wooden polish has a lot of chemicals. So when these chemicals are used by the workers, there is a lot of stingy smell and odor that comes with it. So we spoke to the workers as well. They were really happy because this has an amazing aroma, and even the people who come and visit the temple, they are very happy because of the aroma that they get.
Now talking about the main part or the flooring of the mandapa, where the Kalamirthu ritual happens, this was traditionally plastered in mud. It's a mud flooring which is covered with cow dung also, and it had a granite border all around it. So the challenge was to level out the granite border or the granite stones and to bring back the mud flooring and the cow dung coating which was traditionally used.
was amazing to see the entire, the whole thing coming together on the festival day, the whole mandapam being lit up, and the artist performing on the platform, which made us really content, and it was really amazing to experience it.
Thank you so much. It was a really, really amazing presentation, and the work you have done is just fantabulous. I mean, the way you incorporated the local communities, it was really nice, and we could see like a convergence of the previous, like the traditional ways of construction, the beliefs that incorporated in a modern way, and using all the sustainable materials. You have done a really amazing job. And thank you so much for this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.